morning. It's soccer down here. It is base dropping in the midweek, and so very, very busy, at least first hour, because traditionally, and this is where everything kind of collides this morning, Jarrett, with WallPass Wednesday being WallPass Wednesday. So there's anything on the table. Bam is talking about cup sets already in Australian soccer. We'll have to get into that in just a sec. If it was that plus 800, then somebody's going to be very, very happy. WallPass Wednesday. So anything on your mind, that's what we're here for on a WallPass Wednesday. Anything and everything. Then, because we have 11 matches going on in Major League Soccer tonight, including Atlanta and Philadelphia. So if you want to discuss Atlanta and Philly, we can discuss Atlanta and Philly. Any of the other matches on the board, we have the midweek Whiparound, and also scheduled traditionally for our activity here this time of the week. It is Dylan Butler. So when we have an update on Dylan, if Dylan joins us at 10, he joins us at 10. But there's a lot of stuff going on. We had Premier League yesterday. We got Premier League today. But Jared, I want to start with something that happened yesterday in Jacksonville, Florida. Tim Tebow is part of an ownership group that is bringing the USL to Jacksonville by 2025. That's the timetable that we have, and it looks like Jacksonville and the USL Championship paired together for the 2025 season. You have a group led by Ricky Kaplan aiming to launch the club. Group also includes experienced soccer executive Steve Livingstone. For the record, we have reached out to our friends at USL Jacks to see if they would like to come on and have either a 1v1 or come on and chat with us to get the whole background on it. Local community innovator, according to the release, Tony Allegretti, plans for a 15,000-seat capacity venue home to a third championship club in the state of Florida, along with Tampa Bay and Miami. So, Tim Tebow and soccer, Jarrett.
Just when I thought I was done with him. Just when I thought he wasn't going to torment my fanhoods anymore. He just won't go away. I need a drink.
All right, so you drink and I'll give a quote.
Yeah, go ahead, do that.
Quoting Tim Tebow, for too long, there have been so many boys and girls who had the dream of being able to one day do that, but haven't really had the vision because it wasn't here in front of them. Now they're going to have that vision of someone that they look up to say, one day maybe I could be like her. One day maybe I could be like him. I'm so grateful to be a part of this because I think we get to encourage young boys and girls that they can go after this and live out their dreams. They can try to be successful, but also they can strive to be significant, and we get to be able to encourage them. We get to be able to inspire them. So that's the quote that was released, attributed to Tim Tebow, seeking feedback from the local soccer community on the identity, conducting community outreach. Organizations also teamed with Florida Elite, which competes in both USL League Two and the W League while operating one of the largest youth soccer organizations in the state. And some of you might remember Livingstone from his time as chief operating officer at Lou City. So, so Jacksonville 2025 USL Championship, but it also looks like they're going to have ties to League Two and the W League. So USL and Jacksonville. There you go.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes, man. I mean,
they've got a long runway. I'll give them.
They do. They have a very, and that's good. You want a long runway because, see, 2025, it's 3 years, man. 3 years goes by really quickly when you're talking about something like putting together a professional sports team. Like 3 years is just a blink of an eye.
Yes.
So you need that long runway. That's a great way to do it, and I hope they do well. I'm going to stay kind of salty just because of my mine, like so many other people who grew up in the SEC that were not Florida fans. Like, I don't want to, Tim, just please don't.
Absolutely. So,
what did we do to you? I thought we were done with this.
Yeah, I know. Could you see Tim Tebow as a part of the promotional element being between?
I think it would work great.
Have him in net for some of the friendlies?
No, because I've already seen him. I've already seen him play baseball. So, and he played baseball about as well as a lot of other great athletes have tried that weren't baseball players, because it's very, very difficult. And he was able to do it when he was in school and before school, like when he was in high school. But it's baseball is one of those dumb sports that is incredibly difficult to drop and then pick back up.
Yes. Just ask the Columbia Fireflies about Tim Tebow and his batting average. So
he hit, to be fair, he squared a couple balls up that still haven't landed.
But it wasn't consistent. It's like he's Dave King.
But that's the thing, is like, it's like, and it's like that with most sports. Like, the speed of the game is so intense, you have to be able to keep playing. But it's cool that he is putting himself behind this, and it's something else that he can get a part of, and his reputation already, I think, helps him in situations like this of being able to be a positive influence. So I look forward to that side of it.
And I guess what I can do almost to make this a secondary element of the opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And you can also follow along with them. Here's the QR code for those of you who are watching on Twitch. I will turn my banner because I've yet to come up with a big C stand that I can put behind me to hide more stuff in the office. So there's your QR code for Kickoff Coffee. Follow at Kickoff Coffee CO on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Remember, use the code soccer down here 15 for getting 15% off of any coffee that you pick up from our friends at Kickoff Coffee. And remember that they invest 10% of their proceeds back into the youth game. So very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee. So here's element number 2 this morning. Since we're on a WallPass Wednesday and we're on a bit of a roll. From Frank Dunn.
Like Dave Kingman bat-generated breeze. Yes, that's accurate.
Yes, that is true. Emilio
knows what's up.
Emilio got my reference. That's your Google search.
I was more of a Willie Mo Pena child, personally, when it comes to like big swing and miss.
Absolutely. So from sportbusiness.com this morning, and I will lay this out for you, and I can sense the surprise in your voice and the shock in your response, even though I have not told you what this story is. I can anticipate your very being, and I know where this is going. So Frank Dunn at Sport Business. Here's your headline. Exclusive. And then that's all in capital letters. Crypto.com pulled out of huge Champions League sponsorship at last moment. UEFA nearly missed out on what was set to be one of its largest ever sponsorships for the Champions League earlier this summer when the deal with the Crypto.com cryptocurrency company fell through at the last moment. Sport Business understands that the value of the proposed deal was in the region of €100 million per season, and I need to have an account to access their content from that particular point. So I'm supposed to already either have an account or get started. But yeah, Crypto.com and €100 million were right there, but then they weren't.
Okay.
Color me shocked. Okay, the crypto. Okay, here we go. And
okay.
The crypto.
Cool,
the crypto brand had been lined up as a replacement for Gazprom. The deal would have been for 5 seasons, the 2 seasons remaining, 21-2 and 23-4, and the 3 seasons of the 24 through 26-27 cycle would have meant more than doubling in annual value for UEFA. The European football governing body canceled the contract with Gazprom, Russian state gas owned back in March following the invasion of Ukraine. Gazprom had been paying about $40 million a season. Then informed industry sources say that the deal had been agreed in principle between UEFA and Crypto.com, and the two parties were close to signing off on the long-form contract. It is understood to have been the most advanced stage of a negotiation at which UEFA commercial deal has ever collapsed. And since November of 2021, the cryptocurrency market has lost $1 trillion in value. Crypto.com, of course, declined to comment. UEFA
somebody in a corner office is really pissed right now because you get that advanced negotiations. You've spent that much time and money and resources to get it that far, and it collapses. Man, somebody's going to get yelled at.
And this may be just me, but it may not. But this may be just me. I can't quite get myself the courage to invest in something that has no actual backing. It's like, here, take this, and there's nothing behind it. So I'm just going to go ahead and give you this. I can't do that. I don't know. There are folks that are far braver than I am that may see something that I don't, but I am not a person that can align myself into the crypto kind of currency elements for my wallet.
I mean, there's probably a world in which everything works out pretty well, but the fact that we keep having these repeat incidents, that's the problem. Is it keeps happening over and over again with different crypto companies. That's kind of the thing that kind of becomes the punchline of like, oh, that one didn't work either. What about that one? Nope, that one pulled out at the last minute.
Yeah. So that's where we are with crypto. So that's just something that somebody at UEFA's office is not too happy about. So
no, not at all.
Thought I would bring that one to the floor this morning. Couple of things. I guess that's it for the opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Here's your QR code for those of you watching on Twitch. Remember, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at kickoffcoffeeco. And let's see. So let me see if I can do this here. Sharif admits he got the Playmaker, delicious, smooth, and flavorful. If someone likes a medium roast, I would recommend. So Sharif goes with the Playmaker this morning for Kefsi. Kefsi agrees with Sharif. That's my fave. So it looks like the Playmaker is getting the favorable reviews from our friends at Kickoff Coffee that have nothing to do with Michael Irvin. So there you go. A couple of other things before we get into the midweek whip-around, patent pending trademark coming. Bam, this morning, we have a cup set. And so I had to go and research it. And it was the Oakley Cannons beating Sydney FC. And there were 3 matches at 5:30 this morning. So for Bam, that's at 7:30 at night. And I'm glad that Bam got to see them. This is Australia Cup. Oakley Cannons won 2-1 as a plus 500, basically. And so for the explanation, Bam says, a bunch of weekend footballers beat a professional team. So that's what we had. We have cup sets. We like cup sets, especially on Wednesdays when we have things to talk about. But the other element this morning, and Will, I'm glad that you have done this because I get a giggle every time I see it. Air Force One has been released into the wild from our friend Juanjo Purata. He is now, I guess it is now public that Will has said that Air Force Juan is now out there for Atlanta United. So plus ones to Will for that one. Every time I see that, I start giggling. So that might be just me, but I just giggle. So well done, Will. And let's see, McConaughey and jorts. I guess that's for our friends at USL Jack. So anything on the table this morning? And thanks to everybody who is in this morning to let us know what you think. Like I said, could be about Atlanta, Philadelphia, could be about the Premier League yesterday and today, could be about anything else on your mind, could be about the average velocity of a yellow-laden swallow. And we've got our first bot of the morning. So it's been a while since we've actually had a bot in
just kind of makes you feel alive. Like,
yeah,
oh, that's
well, true. And so see, now this is the one thing that I don't know is how to get rid of them other than just to report them. So that's the other part in this. So Q Anton 1, congratulations on being a bot in our timeline. But no, we're not interested at your website. But it is that time, and I feel like we need to have like some kind of music, for the whip-arounds, whether it's the midweek.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like an Aaron Copeland-esque ripoff.
Yes. So that's where we are with the today. It is a midweek whip-around, patent pending trademark coming. So we've got a lot of matchups to cover here, and we've got until the top of the hour to cover them, and then we'll go through the rest of the world when it comes to anything and everything soccer, because we're getting close to the end of the transfer window. Wesley Fofana is now official at Chelsea. How do we know? Because he had a picture taken with Todd Bowley, who was wearing a blue T-shirt and had a big smile on his face. So there you go. All right, so we'll start off by just announcing that Atlanta and Philly in Chester is 7:00. That's your opening kickoff on the evening, and so we'll go from there. 7:30. CF Montreal. And yes, Kefsey, we will talk about Philly as we go, but after we get through the whip round. 7:30, got a bunch of matchups. 7:30, 8, 8:30, 9, and 9:30 tonight. So we will have MLS After Dark. CF Montreal, soon to be hopefully Impact and New York Red Bulls. Your numbers, CF Montreal a -116. Your draws a +258. And your Red Bulls to win is a +315. 7:38 kick. No extended pregame from our friends at TSN. Fun facts: CF Montreal's unbeaten in 10 straight at home against the Red Bulls, including winning the last 6 in a row, including the playoffs. 6 straight losses are the most for the Red Bulls at a single opponent since an 8-game losing run at New England from 2004 to 2007. CF Montreal extended their unbeaten run to 8 straight, with 6 of those being wins, with the 2-0 win at Chicago on Saturday. 8 games unbeaten and 20 points from 8 games, both equal club records, both set earlier this season in March through May. And the Red Bulls have been the best away team in Major League Soccer this season, collecting a league-high 27 points on their travels, including going unbeaten in 5 straight on the road. 3 of those were wins. Victory over Montreal would make New York the 11th team in MLS history to record 30 away points in a single season. What say you, Jared Smith?
I say Montreal because Montreal is the best team in the East, not named Philadelphia, which is going to be interesting because I think Rich has sworn a vendetta against us. Hey, Rich, hope you're well, buddy. But I feel like we're going to end up in this weird situation in the playoffs where it's going to be like Philadelphia's got the 1 seed. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, they could play Cincinnati.
Yeah,
that could be weird, and they might lose. They might be like one of those situations where you're going styles make fights, and that's the one fight they don't want.
Yeah.
But Montreal's been the best team in the East that has not been named Philadelphia, so give me Montreal. Even though, Red Bulls has had a really weird year. They're struggling with the fact that when they play at home, a lot of times teams sit back, and they're daring New York to just come and beat them, and they haven't consistently been able to do that. Now, when they get out on the road and teams feel more comfortable playing their style, Red Bulls can Red Bull. But at home, and I assume this will happen in the playoffs, so I'm interested to see how Red Bulls does this in the playoffs. When teams don't want to come play them, they have struggled.
That they have. So I'm going to go with Montreal as well. And I just realized that I did not promote ourselves this morning. So as I continue to go through things here, and let's see. All right. So what can I do quickly for a tweet to get folks to watch? And see, this is what happens when you're doing things out loud. It's WallPassWednesday. Come join us there. Okay.
What are you, a cult?
Yeah. Come join us. It's a WallPassWednesday.
We don't even offer Flavor Aid.
No, that's true. All right, next matchup on the board at 7:30, Crew and Inter Miami. Crew at lower.com is a -128. Your draw is a +289. Inter Miami is a +320 in this one. And once again, 7:38 kick, so no fancy super long pregame show. Fun facts, both Columbus and Inter Miami won their lone home match against the other. The Crew recorded a 4-0 win at home over Miami in October 2021. Pedro Santos scored once and provided 2 assists in the win, the only time he's been involved in 3 goals in a single MLS match. #irony alert. Crew have lost only one of their last 14, drawing 8, winning 5, following a late equalizer for a 2-2 draw with Cincinnati Saturday. Despite every other team losing at least 3 times since late May, the Crew's 23 points in that span are only 7th most in Major League Soccer. And Inter Miami's 5-match unbeaten run came to an end with a 3-1 defeat at Red Bulls on Saturday. Defeat was Miami's 6th loss in their last 10 road games, 3 of those draws, while it lost only 1 of 9 home games, winning 6 of those in the same span. What say you, Jared Smith?
Give me the draw here, I guess. I don't really have positive opinions about any of it, honestly. So here's the thing. Columbus has been playing with fire lately.
Yeah.
Not unlike Orlando had for a while. Orlando's turned in some really good results lately, and they've kind of turned things around. Crew have played with fire. They played with fire against Atlanta. They played with fire against Cincinnati. Miami's not really one to be trifled with. Miami's not a world beater, but they can jump up and bite you.
Yeah.
And so give me like a 2-2 draw here. Hopefully we get a clean game without and by clean I don't mean dirty, but hopefully we get a game that doesn't have a bunch of people yelling at Pro afterwards. Just Columbus, just play a boring game for once. And it's not their fault. They're not, it's not their fault that they're a victim of circumstance. The last two games they played have had a lot of VAR complaints and a lot of pro complaints. Mm-hmm. I'm sure for their sake they would love to play one that's boring as well. It's just 90 minutes of normal games.
Over under of 3s at a plus 125.
I'll take that over.
3.5 actually. 3.5 is a plus 180 and 4 is a plus 327. So I'll take the 3.5. I'll take the over under 3.5 at the plus 180. Yeah. Next up on the board at 7:30 is let's see. So that's what happens when you wander away. New England and Chicago. New England's a minus $1.25. Your draw is a plus 283, and Chicago is a plus 315. So we look at this one, and it's fun facts. 7:38 at Gillette, local TV on both sides. New England's won one of its last 5 home matches against Chicago, drawing 3, with the last 2 meetings in Foxborough ending in draws. The Revs had won 7 of their previous 8 home matches against the Fire between 2012 and 2016. Revs have suffered back-to-back losses after losing just 2 of their previous 17, winning 6 and drawing 9. New England has conceded 8 goals in their last 3 matches. 2 of those losses after keeping 4 consecutive clean sheets, winning 2 and drawing 2. Fire have lost 3 straight matches following a 2-0 home loss to CF Montreal Saturday. In the 13 matches in which Chicago has conceded 2 or more goals, it's collected just 4 points. They've lost 11 of those, while it has 26 points in the 14 matches when they've held opponents under 2 goals, winning 7, drawing 5. What say you, Jared Smith?
I mean, the Fire's another one. This entire season has been full of teams that are kind of hard to peg down. They'll go on these runs, and it's hard to figure out because Chicago was really bad for a while. They started out the season really well, but underlying, you were kind of like, I don't know how sustainable this is. Turns out it wasn't sustainable. They lost a bunch of games. Then they found some offense in the middle of the season. Atlanta's draw at Chicago kind of looks solid now, considering what they were doing during that time. They were taking scalps during that time. And now they've just kind of settled back down to the bottom of the river. And I don't know what they are, and I don't know how to pin them down. So give me a draw with Chicago doing just enough.
Okay. So is it 1-1? Is it 2-2? Are we getting that?
Give me 1-1.
So Slonina and Petrovic are the ones that keep this at 1-1.
Yeah, it might even be a 0-0 draw if Chicago can't get anything going. I don't ever know how to deal with Chicago, man.
Yeah, well,
they don't make me as angry as 2017 Chicago made Jason legitimately angry, and it was hilarious to watch from a neutral perspective. Mm-hmm. But yeah, give me Chicago losing this one. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Give me the draw this one. Draw. I'm tempted to take them losing it. Give me the draw.
7:30 Orlando City, Seattle, Orlando City.
I think Seattle. You can. If I'm wrong, I'm okay being wrong.
Yeah.
But I think someone double tapped the Zombie Sounders before they could zombie this year.
Yeah.
So that's where I am with it. I will live with being wrong. Sorry, Nico. I think Seattle does not have that in them this year, and that's okay because guess what? Even if they don't make the playoffs, they still got the one banner that no one else in this league in the modern era has that they can point to forever. And it will shut everybody. And if it doesn't shut everybody up, then they're not worth arguing with.
And they should still be able to wear the patch on a daily basis.
They should absolutely. MLS, you are just, I swear to God, the dumbest league sometimes.
Orlando City, for the record, is that plus 114. Seattle's a plus 243. The draw is basically the same. So Orlando don't, as Greg Garza says. So we'll go with the purple team and move to the next one at 7:30. Toronto hosting LAG. I'm going to take the over first and foremost.
Toronto might give you the over by themselves.
Toronto's a minus 103. Your draw is a plus 290. and the LA Galaxy are a plus 240 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Fun facts at BMO, and this one is only being broadcast, looks like it's on local TV on both. Toronto's lost only one of its 8 home matches against the Galaxy, winning 3, including winning the last 2. Galaxy haven't collected a point in Toronto since a 2-2 draw in March of 2013. The renaissance continued for TFC. This is words from MLSSoccer. With a 2-0 win over Charlotte on Saturday, the club's 4th victory in their last 7. 3rd clean sheet in that time. Toronto won just 5 of their previous 27 matches, losing 15, failing to keep a clean sheet in any of those games. And the Galaxy snapped a 4-match road losing streak with a 2-1 victory at New England Sunday night. The Galaxy haven't won consecutive true road games since August and September of 2020, though they did win 2 straight away from home in June of 2021. The first was against Vancouver in Sandy, Utah. What say you, Jared Smith?
Toronto's going to continue doing what they're doing. So, John, what are the odds that this ends with a certain mercurial young player for the Galaxy deciding to miss a couple tap-ins?
I think that you get at least one. I'll take the over-under in the first half at 1.5.
Yes, well.
That's my thought. But I am looking forward to seeing Ricky Puig going up against Serie A West.
Yes. Serie A.
Yes. And by the way, as we're building up to our discussion of Philadelphia in Atlanta, we do have a lot of – Rich Ransom is, by the way, having conversations with swords and shields drawn on both sides. So it's going to be fun to go through that conversation. When we
keeps you sharp.
Yes. 8 o'clock Eastern, NYC and DC United. Do we even go in there?
No.
Just for the record.
Not going to enjoy it.
NYC's a minus 222. Your draw's a plus 384, and DC United's a plus 520.
If there's anything that ails DC, it might be New York City just being New York City right now.
Yeah. So yeah, that would be the only drawing element to make that anywhere close. But yeah. Oh, by the way, set your fantasy team, and especially if you're looking at double game weeks for your players. So set your fantasy teams. Fantasy League brought to us by our friends at the Jason Wright Agency. Jason Wright with a WAGEN on Twitter. Jason Wright Agency on Facebook. 8:30. Houston Dynamo at home against LAFC. Do we need to go any further?
No. Houston, like I said, man, the race for the wooden spoon might be sneaky good. We might get a really sneaky fun race for the wooden spoon.
Houston is a plus 273 in the composite. The draw is a plus 292, and LAFC is a minus 115. 8:30 at Geodis, Nashville and Colorado. Nashville is a large favorite, although Geodis really hadn't done them any favors. Nashville's a minus 149. Your draw is basically a plus 300, and Colorado is a plus 383. Do we proceed?
I have been avoiding trusting Nashville because they just were so bad, but they put together a few solid games in a row. Nashville, I will trust you for this game.
Okay.
If you disappoint me again, that will be it for the year.
Then the fickle finger of fate.
If you do not win this game, I will be picking against you the rest of the way because at that point, I think it's a jinx.
Yes. Nashville's won their only MLS match against Colorado, the 3-1 victory on May 28th in Commerce City. Hani Mukhtar scored 2 of Nashville's 3 goals, all of which were scored in the game's first 17 minutes. Nashville picked up the first set of consecutive wins since April with a 4-0 win over Dallas last week and a 3-0 win over Vancouver Saturday. Nashville's consecutive wins by at least 3 goals comes after not winning any of their first 26 this season by more than a 2-goal margin. And Colorado equaled the club's largest ever margin of defeat with the 6-0 loss to Philly on the weekend. Third time the Rapids have lost by 6. 2014 at LAG, 2018 versus RSL, equaling the most 6-goal losses by any club in Major League Soccer history, with DC, New England, and Sporting Kansas City. So that's
yeah. So here's the thing that we haven't talked about enough is we've talked about and sorry to Shooter, who might walk in and just catch the stray. We talked a lot about like the fact that New England has collapsed against what they were last year.
Right.
New England hasn't been what they were.
No.
We haven't talked nearly as much about the fact that Colorado has also collapsed against what they were last year. They just didn't, set a points record in the process. They were a lot of fun last year and had a couple moments this year, but they haven't really built on what they were. So yeah, Colorado, you're not getting out of this alive.
No, I don't think so. Let's see. We've got two more tonight. It is Austin hosting Portland at Q2, 9 o'clock Eastern. Austin's a minus 133. Your draw is a plus 313, and the Portland Timbers are a plus 308. Let's go with fun facts on this one just because we can. At Q2, 908, so local TV on both sides. The home side has won all four meetings between Austin and Portland, with each team winning twice. That would make sense in four meetings if the home side has won all four. Austin has outscored Portland 7-2 in their home matches, while the Timbers outscored Austin 4-0 in the two meetings in Portland. Austin's 4-1 win over LAFC on Friday took it to 51 points this season, 20 more than it had in their first MLS season. The 20-point improvement from its first to second season is the second largest improvement by an expansion team from year one to year two in MLS history. Chivas USA's was 25 points, and including the playoffs, the Timbers have won just 3 of 30 in Texas, losing half of them. Portland drew their last match in Texas, scoreless draw in Houston in April, though it hasn't managed to avoid defeat in consecutive visits to Texas since a run of 4 straight draws, 2017 to 2018. As much as I like to trust Gio Savarese getting into a playoff right now, you're heading into the buzzsaw that is Q2.
Yeah, you are heading into the buzzsaw. And I can't help you there. You have elected the way of pain.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, right there with you. It's Austin. That's what I'm thinking. So then last one, 9:30 at Rio Tinto. RSL and Minnesota United. Sneaky good one here. RSL's a minus 108. Minnesota's a plus 266. Your draw is a plus 277. So your fun facts from the Riot, as some of you may want to play Dunny Bingo. So following Brian Dunseth on Twitter, see if you can submit your phrase or your word and see if Dunny uses it on the air. Dunny Bingo is something that's always fun when you're looking at RSL games. On the telly, 9:38 kick, so no fancy super long pregame show, local TV on both. The away side has won only one of the 11 non-neutral site meetings between RSL and Minnesota. A 2-1 RSL won at Minnesota in April 2021. The Loons have never won in 4 away matches against RSL, though the last 3 meetings there have all ended in draws. RSL has won just one of their last 6 home matches, drawing 3 after winning 6 of their first 7 to open the season. RSL, with a draw and 2 losses in their last 3 at home, hasn't gone 4 straight home matches without a win since June through August of 2017. And Minnesota United's 2-1 win over the Dynamo on Saturday was their 8th victory in their last 11 matches, drawing 2 and losing the other 1. The Loons have 26 points since the beginning of match day 17, June 29th, more than any other team in the MLS in that span. I guess that's what happens when you announce a coaching extension or a contract extension for your coach that everyone, including all of us on this show, poo-pooed. Sign more coaches.
Yeah, apparently you just need to sign your coach in the quagmire of a season, and then everything will turn around. Mm-hmm. I already gave my mea culpa. Minnesota beats RSL. Yeah.
Mea culpa, maxima culpa.
I mean, they like I said, it hasn't always been pretty, but you don't care about pretty when you're trying to get into the playoffs, especially when you're mired in a mid-season kind of a funk.
It's true.
You don't care about pretty at that point. You care about getting it turned around. They've done just that. So Credit to them.
And so that is 10 of the 11. I guess for the remaining time here, we talk about the 11th of the 11. And it has obviously been a topic of conversation for folks on the Twitch pitch this morning. Kefsey starting things off. And there's your office. Oh, hi. Good to see the corner office there, sir. Can we talk about, this is Kefsey, can we talk about Philly in terms of high-scoring games, Last game, they got one from open play, then 2 PKs, then the opponent got a red. What's the real level of control they're showing versus other teams self-immolating? That's a question from Kefsey this morning.
And see, that is a degree of self-immolation. And so you do kind of have to take things in context. Goals change games. Also, quality changes things because, yeah, we know that, for instance, DC's not good. I feel like we've made that point before.
Yeah.
So, like, we know that DC is not good. We know that they have done a lot of damage against DC. A lot more damage. Here's the thing about that, though. They've done a lot of damage against DC. A lot more damage than other people have done against DC. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone else has had shots at DC, too. And no one else has done what they've done. So you can't take that away from them. You can't sit there, in my opinion, and say, oh, well, it was just DC. Well, other teams have had DC and haven't gotten the job done like that to that degree. So, that kind of, for me, that sticks out. Like, you've gotten the job done. And it's kind of like 2017 Atlanta against New England.
Yeah.
Those games worked to me. It's similar to that because New England was a broken shell that had given up on Jay Heaps at that point. And Atlanta got them on 2 early red cards and just punished them. And they had zero interest in playing that game. Colorado, you kind of disassembled them. Like I said, Colorado's been weird all year. Colorado's been so wildly inconsistent. Yeah. So it's hard to pin down because at the end of the day, even if your argument is take those results away, Philadelphia's still been the best team in the East. They get results, which is the most important part. Mm-hmm. It's you want to play. Some people want to play pretty. Some people don't care about that. At the end of the day, you want to get results. That's what Philadelphia has done. Hasn't always been pretty. Hasn't always been entertaining to watch in a neutral sense.
Yeah.
But they get the job done. And I think they've lost 4 times all year. And so you're hoping to build on that? I mean, what do you go into Philadelphia and say, hey, here's a low block. Good luck. We're not going to let you turn us over, and we're just going to basically fist fight you while you fist fight us, which Philadelphia might be fine with. Philly's kind of got that energy, hey, Rich, of they don't mind the taste of their own blood if you want to punch them in the face.
Yeah. Rich's one-liner here at the end of the Twitch pitch so far is part of the interesting discussion. Win by any means. That's what Rich is saying.
Yes.
Win by any means.
And Rich, I mentioned this yesterday, like, hey, Philadelphia's got to win in the playoffs at some point. Otherwise, we got to start having Red Bull conversations about Philadelphia. Because, win by any means. Philadelphia, as I said yesterday, still feels, I'm sure, and I won't blame them a bit if they do, still feels hard done last year. Because you get into the playoffs, you are the prohibitive favorite once New England goes out and half of your team is out with COVID. Mm-hmm. And it's rotten luck. And win by any means should be their strategy going through this year. I mean, they're going to be fine in the playoffs. They're going to win the East most likely, unless they just collapse and like Montreal catches fire. But then it becomes win by any means in the playoffs, and they're built for that already with that physicality style. But if teams get skittish in the playoffs and start playing like a more reserved, like we're going to play a mid block, we're going to force, we're not going to let Philadelphia turn us over. If we get under pressure, we're just going to punt it into row H or punt it further down the field and make them build it up. Like, that's where it gets interesting for me to see where it goes. Because even if you lean on Philadelphia, as we've seen teams do, even if you lean on them, Andre Blake is there to snatch your soul.
That is true. Absolutely. And any team that wants to go against Philadelphia and treat it like it's Rocky II, where Philadelphia goes in and they anticipate that Rocky's going to fight, southpaw. Then the team that goes up against Philly in Rocky II decides, no, we're going to fight right-handed for a while. And then, maybe in the 80th minute, you hear Mickey yell, now, kid, now. Do you have one of those? Does the opposition just sit there and say, okay, the ball has cooties, Philly, your turn? Treat it almost like it's Red Bulls with possession. Just you kick it down to the other end and have Philly try to do something with it. I think that it is for the remainder of the regular season, regardless of opponent. And tonight with Atlanta United, it will be interesting chess to see how opponents go up against this team knowing that it's a 4-4-2 diamond, knowing that it is one of those formations that is not, something that you see every day in Major League Soccer. And for me, it is going to be an interesting examination of how you approach going up against the team with the stingiest defense in Major League Soccer with Andre Blake between the sticks. How do you handle it? Do you go toe-to-toe with them? Do you try to just sit there and punch them in the mouth and go, okay, this is how you are. We're going to do the same thing to you, or we're going to do what we do and then, adjust accordingly. So, we saw, Atlanta United against Philly at Mercedes-Benz. You had the one match that was when Gabriel Heinze was in charge, where Atlanta United just absolutely was just steamrolling in the first half with their speed and their width and all of those things. And then it turned around if you're a Philadelphia fan. But we've seen Atlanta United.
You get the Galazzo from basically hit that thing from Freedom Parkway.
Yeah, from Glesnes. Yeah, from Glesnes, who hit it from like 40 out. One of those kinds of things. But we've seen Atlanta United play their style against Philly and not flinch. I'm just looking forward to seeing how it would work since it's a 4-4-2. That, to me, taking the Jason tenet going forward of, okay, you want one more defender than they have forward. So to me, that seems like it's going to be three center backs and something akin to a 5-4-1 or a 5-3-2, something like that. So that would be my base at first and foremost. If they've got two in the 4-4-2, you've got to have three defending. And so that to me is where I would start when it comes to my approach if I'm Atlanta United tonight.
And you've got to figure out how you want to deal with the with the fact that you're probably going to see that diamond. Like, how do you deal with it if you're Atlanta? You've got a guy in Thiago Almada who is so damn quick, not just in the way he plays, but kind of like Almiron. Not to compare people to Miguel Almiron, because I don't want to start that argument with people.
Right.
But the guy who thinks and reacts a step faster than a lot of people do.
Yep.
His ability to do that quickly would be very important. If you can get in a situation where you can kind of get on either side of that diamond and then hit the quick switch back and forth and just kind of run that ball back and forth. We saw DC do this against Philadelphia in the first half before they got absolutely impaled by Philadelphia. Hit those big switches, get those diagonals going. Because when Philadelphia starts to flood the field to your side, if you can get it out of jail and if you can be clean doing it, you can stretch them out. Now, the problem is that if you are not clean doing it, then you turn it over and then you die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, you do. There's a discussion in the Philly papers, I think this morning, whether Daniel Gazdag should be part of the MVP discussion. That's there. Will on the Twitch bit says, all I know is that they're very good at getting under skin and causing opponents to do stupid mistakes. Being able to goad people across the line without crossing it yourself can be hard, but Philly is good at that.
It feels like it's part of that Philly attitude that, it's just like that Philly energy, and they just embrace that in the same way that, like, we talked for the longest time about, like, Red Bulls embracing not just being the New York Red Bulls, but embracing kind of that Jersey attitude, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
That blue collar style. And I know that's not unanimous across all parts of New York and New Jersey, but embracing that kind of blue collar persona. And Philadelphia is just Philadelphia, man. I mean, I'm interested to see how this plays, how Atlanta plays against them. I will be very interested to see how Atlanta lines up, and how much of it Atlanta carries, and how much of it they get to a point of saying, Philadelphia, you can do this. We're going to take a nap.
Well, and Soccer for Good OG is asking, what would be the thing or things you could do to goad Philly? How would you get under their skin?
Well, the one time everybody got under Philly's skin was the time when Harris Manunian and Ala Bedoya got double red cards.
Yeah,
in the Mercedes-Benz, and that took a call and like arguing with officials to do that. And I don't know if it's that simple. Manunian is no longer there. Bedoya is at this point. I think Bedoya just is what he is, and that's good. Like he's still scrappy. He'll still jaw, but like just goes out there and does his job. Like they'll get under your skin. They'll try and goad you into stuff, but they know where the line is.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I think that can make this match really weird is if you get a situation where like there's inconsistency on what a foul call is. That could be the kind of thing that gets both sides riled up. Because if you start getting like really soft fouls called, or and then later on in the game, like somebody comes in from behind and delivers a hard tackle, and it's play on, then guys are going to get upset. That could be the kind of thing to loosen everybody up and to rile them up. But aside from that, I don't really necessarily expect it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I don't really expect Philadelphia to get unnerved, because it's just they are what they are at this point. They know exactly what they're doing. They know what they're capable of. And aside from all of that, they've got some stone cold killers who can punish you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that, like in this conversation we always have, I feel like that frequently just gets left to the wayside. Like, no, they have some stone cold killers who can ruin your day.
Yeah,
it's not just a bunch of guys who just run around and hit and then just kind of like, tap rebounds into the net. Like they have guys who can get the job done in an extremely efficient fashion.
Yeah, and Kai Wagner is still getting a look from overseas, since we have another day. And let's see, 10-6. So we've got about another 32 hours left in the transfer window for Europe. So Kai Wagner is still being looked at. The crew tonight in Subaru Park, your center F is Lucas Sapala. Your ARs, Jason White and Kevin Klinger. Your fourth is Joshua Encarnacion. VAR is Rosendo Mendoza, and your AVAR is Tom Supple. So that is your crew tonight in Chester, Pennsylvania. Let's see. Trying to scan through. Will in all caps to the Soccer for Good OG. Here's how you get under their skin. Keep playing when they go down. I've never seen a Philly player actually hurt on the field.
I think there have been Philly players hurt on the field, but but it's one of those things, like we talked about this with other games where this is what Atlanta was really good at for so long during like 2018, 2019 season, where they were earning penalties. They created situations where you put the onus on the official. You're putting the onus on the official and putting him in a situation where he has to decide to make a call or not.
Yep. Bam from Australia says Atlanta needs to get in, score a quick goal, then park all 11 in the 18 and hold on for 89 minutes.
Man, if Atlanta gets a lead in that game, I hope they just sit, and I hope they just create the most negative environment humanly possible, because I get very tired of seeing the whole concept that Atlanta needs to carry the water in the game. So then I know plenty of people feel the same way, that just sit back, man. You don't have to do this.
Yeah,
just get a lead and sit.
And here's part of the general.
And you can do it because you did it against you. You were in that position already when you played Red Bulls. You were there.
Yeah. So and this is what I like about the Twitch pitch. This is what I love about the Twitch pitch, is that we've always had civil discourse and we always have had respect for one another. Here's evidence of that. Rich is with us this morning, and he's a part of the Twitch pitch. Will to Rich, we can be friends 360 to 363 days of the year, but today is not one of those days. Genuine
Will wants to summon Kubo for this game.
Yeah. And Will to you, Jarrett, someone single tapped them, and his name is Andrew Gutman.
Yes, that was how Seattle died.
Yes.
Andrew Gutman killed Seattle.
Yes. A lot of love for Chester, a lot of love for the stadium.
It's a beautiful stadium. It's a beautiful setup right there on the water. It's a great setup.
Yep. And so Soccer for Good OG's in this morning. Thus the need for an ATL victory. It really has a way of silencing a home crowd. Case in point, Orlando. But now this is the fun part that I like about days like this, is where we can have the discourse, and we can enjoy the lead up into the match. And then tomorrow we will continue to talk about it. We will talk about what happened yesterday. and today. We will talk tomorrow about today. If I can get my weeks squared away. And we will have honest discourse about what happened because we'll have 11 matches to talk about tomorrow as well. But obviously, this one will be front and center. Joe Bost, Philly versus an LAFC Cup would be an interesting matchup, probably.
Yeah, that would be really weird because that would be fun if for no other reason, like Philadelphia would actively try and kill Carlos Vela and the rest of LA's attackers. I would be very intrigued to see how that unfolds. Because the second someone starts calling that game tight, it gets really chippy real fast.
Yes. And to that point, Rich, side note, looking about player changes because there's an important game against Red Bulls on Saturday.
Yeah, you're going to make sure you're trying to kill off Red Bulls, not out of the playoffs, of course, but like to make sure Red Bulls can't come up and bite you. That is one less problem that you got to deal with if you're Philly. So I'll be interested to see how Curtin balances this. Styles make fights. Atlanta and New York are definitely different styles to deal with. I will probably, if I watch the game Saturday, Rich, I will probably hate watch it because I hate watching New York play Philadelphia because it's just two styles that clash. And like the playoff game last year almost made me claw my eyes out. That's just me. Well, I will, if I watch that game, it will be hate watching.
Yeah. So Will is in and he wants to play something akin to a 3-5-2, 5-3-2. Cisneros, Aruju, Sociobar, Almada, Gutman. You've got Air Force Juan. You have him. You've got Lennon. You've got Franco, and you've got ADJ as well. So that's what you're looking at from Will's perspective. But yeah, I think Air Force Juan has taken on a life of its own.
As it should. Again, he's been great in the air, and he could be useful in this game because if you get some set pieces, not just offensively but defensively. Look, I mean, even the first goal you give up to DC, it's on a twice recycled set piece. Like you didn't get burned on the set piece initially. You cleared it out. You should have cleared it off the side more. They tried that recycle ball in quickly. You dealt with that, and then a guy hit Ogalazo off his chest and off the volley.
Yep.
If he beats you with that, that's harder to be upset about, I think. But Air Force One gives you that ability to kind of stomach those set pieces, both offensively and defensively.
You turn into a pumpkin, yes, correct?
Yes, I do.
All right, so we will see you when we see you.
Sounds good.
All right, bye. That's Jarrett Smith, everybody. Time to cut a promo. Since Jarrett goes away, it's time for me to read copy. And so that means stuff over my left shoulder. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go, and it is a Lemonize service. A Lemonize service deodorizing in closed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pets, cigarettes, and food. Realtors and property managers use a Lemonize service to sell or rent their homes that much faster, helping in that process. It's a turnkey process, which helps make that happen that much faster. Kind of the environment, we like that. A very green way of going about things without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents, because when you take that masking agent out from the cabinet or from underneath the sink, you spray it in the air, guess what it does? It masks the odor. That's why they call it a masking agent. So instead of attacking it all the way down to the molecule, and I know that I have to finish reading this promo very, very quickly, like Febreze does or anything like that. Proven scientific formula destroying odors down to the molecule, pricing easy. Cubic feet or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go, it's a Lemonize service. So it is on the website, ELIMINIZE.com. But do us a favor, go /Atlanta after the fact so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so they can help you with your problem. So it's lemonize.com /Atlanta, QR code over my left shoulder for those of you watching on Twitch, which means one thing, and I get to run a fancy intro. Dylan Butler joining us.
What's up?
This whole technology thing, it's kind of getting scary. It's like, okay, so this is TV production down here. I'm used to editing packages you can edit in one of two programs, either Avid or Final Cut. One is thinking about it linearly from left to right, and the other has the commands reversed, and you have to think about it going from right to left, even though the timeline goes from left to right. And so for me, this is like trying to learn Avid after I've learned Final Cut. So it's like, it's all right, so I got to do this. And so if this happens here, it's like, all right, so how does this fit and go and go and go? So yeah.
That's like a Joseph Martinez speaking in English when his head is working in Spanish.
So I know.
Yeah,
it is out of control. So let's wait. All right, so let's go dealer's choice. Do you want to talk about the 11 games today to start and work backward, or do you want to work backward to work context into the 11 matches for today?
Yeah, the second, I guess, right? That works.
Okay.
Either way, I'm good.
All right, so let's go backward and do a greatest hits, and so that will get us into what we're looking at here with the midweek whip-around. And so let's see. Let's go back. Oh yeah. Let's start with Austin and LAFC.
Yeah, that was a game.
What in the wide world of sports happened there, man?
I think a couple things happened. We talked actually, right, leading into that game last week about Austin, if they're real, should LAFC be concerned, something along those lines. And yeah, man, like that was they gave us some pretty good scoreline. I think for me the most surprising thing was the scoreline. Not so much that they won, because again, Austin won in LA too, right? But it was the way that they won and how resounding it was that I think, for me at least, opened eyes. And they made a serious. If you weren't sure if they were a Shield or a Cup contender, that was your answer with an exclamation point at the end of it. Austin FC is very much for real. The flip side of that coin now is, are there some cracks in the armor for mighty LAFC? We were talking about the greatest team in MLS history. Can they get to 80 points? Suddenly, you start wondering, and Taylor Twellman made a great point on the air, can Carlos Vela and Gareth Bale play together, right? As starters, it didn't look good, at least on that night. So you start to wonder about LAFC. And also it shows you how valuable Ilie absolutely is to them in that midfield, and why he's probably the best, if not one of the best, in his position, because of the holes that were there without him.
Yeah. It seems to me like LAFC just wanted to make moves for the sake of making moves. Hey, look what we can do. We can bring in Chiellini. Hey, we can bring in Gareth Bale. Look at all these shiny toys. And you kind of forget that it has to be a jigsaw puzzle that works. You can't just have pieces lying around off to the side and sit there and go, why does my windmill not look like it's a completed thing here as I'm trying to piece together my 500-piece puzzle on Copenhagen, Denmark? It seems like that they were doing things because they could, and now you seem to have uprooted what got you to where you were.
Yeah, and you kind of gave them the San Jose game as just sort of like a toss away, right? Whatever, no big deal.
Absolutely.
But now if you start to add it together, I don't know. Like it's they remain one of the most intriguing storylines now for this reason. Are they not going to be that team? And much like we said with the other LA team earlier in the year, and as you said too last week, postseason games are different, right? Like it's brutal. There's bite to it. Is this team too flashy, right? Do they not have that in them? Because Austin brought it to them, and LAFC didn't respond, not in the way that they wanted. Now, is that the wake-up call that they need? Will they be a different team? And again, you've got to put the Ilie portion into it as well. You expect, obviously, outside of an injury, that he'll be there in the postseason. But Austin, on the night, certainly they looked to be more of an MLS playoff ready team than an LAFC, right?
Yeah. And that brings me to, I guess, my next underlying point of the weekend. And we saw it with players getting hip checked into ad boards in Austin and no call. And then you end up with Pat Noonan and colorful metaphors down here.
Yeah.
After hell is real. And I guess let me ask it this way. Is Pat Noonan correct, or is he a degree of correct about it being a systemic issue?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you get this, I think, with every coach in the league where they think, they're in a fishbowl and everybody's, all the calls go against them, right? Like you hear it in so many sports. I mean, think about a basketball game with a coach pointing up at the scoreboard saying it's 10 fouls to 1. It's 10, like even it out. Like, so in that sense, I think it's a degree, but obviously this one point he is 100% right about, right? And it seems to be clear, and that's been certainly talked about ad nauseum, I think, at this point, just the checkpoints and all that kind of stuff. Like, look, obviously it was an offside call that got blown. He should be concerned also about conceding late, right? After Miazga responds right after that goal.
Yep.
You have the lead in stoppage time. You've got to win that game. There's nothing happened with the officials on that last goal, so that's also something that Cincinnati should look in the mirror to correct. But yeah, there's so many things to talk about in this one. I mean, look, and also, by the way, I think it was the first time that I can remember covering a match, because I was doing it for MLS. I wrote up a sidebar on it, that both coaches dropped F-bombs in their pressers. Like, that's not usually, you get one out of maybe 10 games of one coach, but this was both of them. So right. Hell is absolutely real. But another, I don't know if this is the right tangent to go off on, but
we got time. That's all we got time.
Caleb Porter.
Yeah.
So if you watch the game over and you see the final whistle, what's the first thing that Caleb Porter does? He turns around to the fans. He's shushing them. He's pumping his chest. Like, okay, one, dude, it's not about you.
You're true. That's
two.
Yeah.
And I absolutely there's no excuse at all for throwing things on the field. It's horrible. It should never happen. Right? Like, that's period, end of story.
Yeah.
However, if you're in a rivalry game and the game is contentious as you would expect it to be, do not egg on said fans and then say how disgusting it was after. Like, there's got to be a little bit of responsibility taken by a coach. And I didn't see I don't know if there were any antics from his players. I know that they were trying to go to their supporter section.
Didn't Cucho catch a beer and chug it?
Well, that's the coolest part of it all, right?
Yeah.
Like, he enters legendary status throughout the league and Columbus as well for catching and chugging. But and again, there's no excuse for throwing anything on the field.
None.
But that's not, Caleb, that that's not a good look. That was one of my takeaways there.
And it's not the first time that he's done that. I mean,
no.
It's been outside of rivalry games where he has felt compelled to shush. And you would like to think, and I know that fans of Crew sit there and go, yeah, he's our guy, and they're behind that when you're winning in these games. But I would like to think that there should be something about presentation and how you carry yourself in these kinds of environments. frankly, and I might just be because I'm the fuddy-duddy here on the show, and a good fist pump and a handshake and hit the tunnel. I mean, for me,
3 points or 1 point, if that felt like 3, and move on. Absolutely. Or, like you see everywhere else, right? Go to your fans and thank them for making the trip, clap them up. You don't need everything else before that.
No. But he seems to revel in that as part of his persona. But you can't at the same time go into your post-match press conference, call out the other side when you did what you did to kind of exacerbate everything. So it's, I know that you're the coach with the microphone, you're on the dais, you've got your presser, you've got your platform, but I would like to think that maybe there should be just some discretion involved here in how you carry yourself on the touch line in situations like this that could get worse if you continue to do the shushing and all those kinds of things.
That's what I'm saying. 100%.
How big of well, I don't anticipate that the FedEx envelope heading to Cincinnati will be rather large, but how big a fine and or a suspension do you think Pat Noonan gets for his 2.5 minutes of colorful metaphors down here?
I don't think there'll be a suspension. There'll be a fine. I don't know, $500, $1,000. Like I don't. Maybe something along those lines. I think it's funny. I was gonna say I would think the fact that he was right in the moment about this one situation might save him a few dollars. But it kind of reminds me a little bit of the fines for failure to leave the field in a timely manner during a VAR check that then goes your way. Like it's not like, do you want me to just go in the shower, go, already, and then come back on the field? Like that one's a little bit of a funny one for me, but it has a similar feel, I think, for me with this one.
Is Seattle done after Portland beat them 2-1?
Yeah, you know what? I will regret saying this probably, but I will say yes. And it's look, I think if this was almost any other team in the league, you would have put that fork in them a month or so ago, right? Yeah. It's because they're Seattle and because they've weathered all these storms that you give them the leeway that you do. But considering, I thought that was like a death match, to be honest. I thought like whoever, if there was a winner, I thought the loser in that match would not make the postseason. Like it was like that old school wrestling, like
loser leave town.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought that was. And yeah, I think where they are in the table, the amount of games they have left now, having such a key part of your team and Christian Roldan not being there as well, to go along with your other injuries that you already have. Yeah, I don't think they dig out of this hole. And then I think, and this could be a conversation for a month or so time. What is that reaction in Seattle then, right? Like how do you balance, is it a successful season, right? You don't make the playoffs, and that's usually your barometer for success, but you've also done what no other MLS team has done and won the CONCACAF Champions League, and you're going to play in the Club World Cup. So I don't know, like it's super weird for me, like to sort of, how do you figure that out in terms of, I mean, I guess it's about, what's the most recent thing, and the most recent thing is disappointment for not making the playoffs. And that would change, I guess, in a few months for or beyond that for a Club World Cup. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah,
recency bias always does play a lot into that. But of course, now that we're sitting here and saying that they lost the loser leave town match, next thing you know, Brian Schmetzer and Jordan Morris and Bruce are coming to town. Their next match, they'll all be wearing masks. No, we're not Brian Schmetzer. No, we're not the Seattle Sounders. And then
or they'll pop up like the Undertaker and the
yes
that GIF around.
Yes, come out of the coffin and sit there and smile, and then grab the West and choke slam the West for the remainder of the run. As I sit here and look at the rest of the week that was, should we just go ahead and play the over on every Toronto FC match for the remainder of the
week? As long as there are Italians in the match, yes. Yes.
Toronto knocks off Charlotte by the score of 2-0. All right, so I want to say Philly because that'll be more into the week that will be. Nashville seems to be choosing offense for some strange reason recently.
Yeah, and
who are these Nashville people?
It has worked for them in recent weeks, right? Like another huge result for them on the road. BC Place, not an easy place to play at all. Yeah, and a great result for them as well. I think we've said it before, right? Like form going into the postseason is such a fickle thing where you can't peak too early, you can't go in on a losing streak, or like you need to have some sort of a run up for a successful postseason. And it's starting to feel maybe like that's the case with Nashville right now.
Yeah.
And two, it's been great for them because they're the team that really no one's talking about right now. It's in the West. It's what? LAFC. It's Austin, right? It's even LA Galaxy. Like so many other storylines are there, and no one's seemingly talking about them or concerned about them, which is great for them. They could just come out from the shadows a little bit and do damage. But again, this is a team that's done that as well, right? They know how to play playoff soccer. So they're a super dangerous one as well. And one of my lasting, I think, takeaways from that match was more so maybe sticking with the wrestling storyline, a little stomp there by Lucas Cavallini on Alex Muil. So not a good look there. And then too, you're leaving, you walk off, and now you start pumping your chest, like, getting the fans like, come on, dude. Like you just screwed your team. Like, let's not get the fans going now. Right. No. Like maybe you should have thought about that before you stomped on some dude.
Yeah. This is not Seth Rollins and Riddle here. You calm down just a bit. And you mentioned form. This will be the last one before we go into the midweek that will be. You mentioned form. Have you ever seen, when was the last time that you saw a match that was as meteorologically challenged as Orlando City and NYC was after the first goal was scored on the board?
True. But isn't that also every match night feels like in Orlando?
Welcome to summer in Central Florida, yes.
Yeah. Like, should we be surprised that it's raining sideways and it's a waterlogged pitch?
Man, that was wild. But you mentioned form. NYC. Yeah. NYC without both Ronnie Dyla and Tati Castellanos seems to be rudderless right now.
Well, you also bring in the other guys too, and I think it's Tati as the goal scorer, right, gets the most recognition. And obviously when you're not scoring goals, that's big, but they're conceding as well. And you take away a Keaton Parks from your midfield, which he's a huge part, right? Like he's a really important part of your team. It's funny. You liken it to a car, right? Like a Tati is your exterior, right? The shell, the leather seats and everything that comes with that. But like Keaton Parks is very much part of that engine inside that you don't see, but really runs this car and runs this team. And the same is true of an Alex Callens, right? Like he was for me, at least for a good chunk of the season, probably the best defender in the league.
Yep.
Right, a regular starter for the Peruvian national team. You don't just replace that guy. Those are two pretty big losses as well on the injury side for them. So I think when you put all four of those factors together, you start to see a little bit of why they are struggling. And yeah, again, form is super important. They go, if we're fast forwarding now, right? They're not particularly good in their home matches at Red Bull Arena. You can insert your jokes now from that, but this is a big one for them. They've got to get this one against DC just to get, again, form going the right way and turning it. I think a month run up is pretty good for the postseason. That's kind of where we are now. So I think this is a big match for them against DC, where Christian Benteke will be making his debut for the black and red. So that should be interesting.
The Belgian bread loaf. We'll see what happens with Christian Benteke. So turning the corner into the midweek that will be with Dylan Butler, MLSSoccer.com, OSDB Sports. And let's just go ahead and start with the early one, because I know that a lot of folks, it's been taking up a lot of space on the Twitch pitch this morning. We do have Philly fans and Atlanta United fans that have been longtime listeners, and they've been going back and forth this morning.
I'm sure they're very good friends as well.
Well, they've admitted that 360 to 3, and this is legitimately one of the comments. 360 to 363 days out of the year, they're cool with each other.
They are united in their hatred of the Red Bulls.
Yeah, and others. And so, today is not one of those days. And, Atlanta United, coming off of the win against DC, know they're going up against the triple option of formations in Major League Soccer with the 4-4-2. And, Philly has been putting up ridiculous numbers, putting 6 on the board against Colorado. And when you've got Andre Blake between the sticks, you've only given up 20 goals all season long. It is crazy how good Philadelphia has been doing it their way all season long. Let me ask you this from an outside Philadelphia perspective. How do you upset or knock Philly off of their pins and get them thinking about other stuff around them? How do you knock their focus off? How do you beat Philadelphia?
Yeah, well, you don't concede first.
True.
Or early, which that's been a problem for Atlanta, obviously, for the good chunk of the season.
Yeah.
You don't concede off of a set piece because they're such a good team on set pieces. And also, I think you challenge them to keep possession a little bit, because I don't think in possession they've been as dangerous of an attacking team, right? Their moments are in transition, in set pieces. And think about it too. If they score first and early, how much the game sets up for them, right? Because now you've got a team chasing that goal. You could sit your numbers back and then hit them on a counter. And that's so much of what Philly does. So I would say a few of those things are the biggest factors there, right? Like be good defending set pieces. Don't give them anything in a transition, and see if you make them uncomfortable with maybe having more of the ball than they want to have.
So basically treat the ball like it has cooties and just send it long, and it's like,
but they will too. It'll be like a US Open match. Like they'll just go back and forth then.
But if you're, and I think that how many teams, and this might be something that we may not have an empirical answer on, but how many teams are more than happy to stand up to Philly with their nature of how they do things, about being physical and not backing down from challenges and challenging them just as much, and having the rotation of the fouls the way that they do, where it's like somebody's real close to persistent infringement and then someone else picks up the slack. How many teams go mano-a-mano with Philadelphia and are successful with it?
There's obviously the way that they play. The most mirror image is the Red Bulls,
right?
Where they are, again, they're not looking to possess the ball. They're looking to make it a physical battle and try to win those 50-50s and foul you if they have to. Cincinnati right now a little bit, because they have that Philly ethos a little bit with Albright and Noonan. So they're similar, I think, in that. But then it's and this is one of the reasons why I love this league so much. But then you've got the other teams that have their different ways they want to play, at NYCFC maybe, who want to have more of the ball, and LAFC that wants to have more of the ball. And that's where that chess match occurs, right? Like, pressing a team that wants to play to the back, and all those sort of games within a game, I think, make it so much fun. And I think that's a little bit what you're going to see tonight as well, where Atlanta is obviously a team that will look to keep possession and go forward with the ball, and Philly will will be in defenders' faces and hope for that long ball that they then can win over the top.
What other games tonight are in the Dylan Butler spot shadow? CF Montreal Red Bulls, Orlando Seattle for another death match, Toronto and LAG. Which ones are on your board tonight?
Yeah, big one for me, man, is Toronto LA, because it's the return of Greg Vanney for one, right?
Yeah.
Back to Toronto. So that's super exciting, I think. And Toronto at home have been very good, obviously, scoring a lot of goals. LA could score a lot of goals. That one could be a 5-3 type of game.
Take the over.
So that one for me is very interesting. Yeah, I like that Montreal Red Bull game too, because Red Bulls are in a good run of form. They've obviously been a very good road team this year, but they don't win in Montreal. So that'll be an interesting sort of a thing. And Montreal, again, being that team that is probably the best team that nobody talks about. So I think another chance for them to show who they are. So that's definitely interesting to me. Orlando home again, so clearly we'll have another major weather situation happening.
Downpour, yeah.
Columbus, Miami is interesting. I think for more post-game sound from Caleb Porter and Phil Neville for sure.
Yes.
I mentioned NYCFC DC about how much of a must-win that is for NYC. And even the last two of the night, I think Austin, Portland is interesting. I think because Portland, maybe they're starting to bounce back a little bit. Obviously, a big win over Seattle, but now you've got to go to Q2, obviously not easy, and then Salt Lake home for Minnesota, and Minnesota having the run that they're having too. So I think those two could shape up for some good MLS after dark action.
Just to let everybody know, when Jarrett and I were talking about this before you came on, we were looking at the totals for or the over-under for Toronto and LAG. It doesn't convert from a negative to a positive until plus 3.5 for your over-under at a plus 118. 4 is a plus 205. 4.5 is a plus 263 in the composite.
Yeah, that's all.
Is there any place with that 4 to 4.5? Is that what you're hunting for right in there for Toronto and LAG?
Yeah, I think you could be looking at a 3-2. So
okay. All right, so there it is. What's going on with you with MLS Soccer and OSDB?
Yeah, I just had a really cool story Monday that dropped. We're right just around the corner from the U.S. Open Cup final, right? And I had a conversation, and the story's up now on OSDBSports.com with Lee Desmond. He's an Irish center back for Sacramento Republic. What's super interesting about him, right, is he spent his previous 8 years playing in Ireland, and a year ago, in his last ever match for St. Pat's Athletic, won the FAI Cup. So he goes from winning the cup with St. Pat's. He makes this journey, and he details, why he wanted to make the trip to. He's wanted to for the last 4 years or so come and play in the United States, and now with Sacramento Republic, he's on the verge of potentially another cup final win. Obviously, a much bigger one in terms of being an underdog with Sacramento Republic. So. That's a cool story, and I will give away a little bit of it because I think it's really funny. Okay. So I said, how much did you even know about USL and Sacramento Republic? Coming from Ireland and and being there, he said, I knew everything about him. He said, because we played on Friday nights, and he said, like any other player, any other athlete, you're just so wired after a game, you just can't sleep, right? So he said, what was the only soccer on TV? He said they had USL on YouTube in Europe, and it's free. So he would watch like every USL game after they played. So he knew everything about Louisville and Sacramento and Detroit. It was pretty interesting how much he did his homework on the potential move. And he talked a lot about what he loves about Sacramento and about his journey this year, and and a little bit of the feel of what he'll feel like and what he's trying to relay to his teammates about what you need to do going into a cup final. So that was a pretty fun story.
All right. So question for you from the Twitch pitch before you go.
Yeah.
Your last official act. And this is from our Australian viewer, Bam, who is a fan of LAFC.
All right.
And got linked into us. His question for you. Should the U.S. Open Cup do what the Australian Cup does and make the MLS team travel if they play a USL team?
That's a great question. I had two. I feel like I wish it could be like in England, where part of what you win is playing at a venue, right? Like that is such a cathedral, like a Wembley is, right? And it has all that pomp and circumstance. So obviously here they don't. But I do kind of wish that it wasn't an MLS team hosting. I think it needs to be. I think there's so many things, and again too, it's so rare to see a lower division team in this. Usually it's MLS versus MLS, right? So this is a rare occasion where Sacramento is trying to be the first team since the Rochester Rhinos in '99. So considering that, I wish Sacramento would have been hosting this match. I think it would have. I still think it'd be a great atmosphere. I think it's already sold out in Orlando, so that'll be big. It's their biggest match, and obviously so much is riding on it with the Champions League. So I think it'll be a raucous atmosphere just off of Church Street there. But I do wish Sacramento was hosting. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how many folks from Sacramento make the trip, or how many tickets they were allowed to have. Is it like 100 up in the corner?
Yeah, exactly.
Because I know that Sacramento folks would travel for this one like nobody's business. Dylan, thanks for hanging out with us once again this week. We know that your dossier is full, especially with you and I sharing the high school time. We know that it's high school football. It's the football us and the FUTBOL us. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you up next week, my friend.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, Dylan Butler, MLSSoccer.com and OSDB Sports. So it's fun to always have Dylan and Bam. Thank you for the question. That, yes, and the advantage of non-MLS teams hosting is the lower team will make more money hosting with ticket sales, bar, and food sales. It'll help them a lot more. That is absolutely true. So, but no, great question. And Bam, thanks for hanging out with us at, if I can do my math, 12:30 in the morning there in Australia, giving us all of our cup set stuff when it came to apparently one of the non-professional teams knocking off one of the big ones at 5:30 this morning. So thanks for doing that. All right. So for the remainder of the time, we're going to go through all of the news that's fit to print, since we have gone through everything else that has gone on in Major League Soccer with the midweek whip-around and Dylan Butler. And great to have Dylan and Jared hanging out with us. So let's go through viewing habits and what you can watch today. And it's should be a decent amount of stuff. So soccer on TV today. And you've got Liga on BN at 1 and 3. Copa Libertadores, Vélez Sarsfield and Flamengo is at 8:30. Serie A is on CBS Sports Network, so it's on the big show. Philadelphia Atlanta's on at 7 o'clock on FS1. You've got Premier League action, Liverpool and Newcastle at 3. Then Liga and Libertadores is also simulcast on BN and Español and on Fox Deportes with Philly and Atlanta. Universo is broadcasting Liverpool and Newcastle. Busy day on ESPN Plus. You've got the Eredivisie. You've got Blackpool and Blackburn at 3. German Cup at 2:30 with Bayern Munich. All of the action from Major League Soccer, obviously, is there. Action from the collegiate ranks. You've got USL Championship. You have the 5 matches there that include Memphis and Loudoun. It's one-sided matchups when it comes to the standings. Indy and Louisville, Red Bulls 2 and Hartford, Pittsburgh, Charleston, Memphis, Loudoun, Phoenix, and RGV. You've also got midweek in League One. Tormenta is going at it tonight with Charlotte Independence. Union Omaha, Forward Madison, Central Valley, Fuego, and Tucson is at 10:30. Paramount Plus, very, very busy. And they have 5 Serie A matches to choose from, starting at 12:30, 2 at 2:45, and the Scottish League Cup involving Ross County and Celtic. 4 of the Premier League matches are on Peacock: Bournemouth and Wolves, Arsenal, Villa, Manchester City, Nottingham Forest, and West Ham and Tottenham. We'll go over the juice boxes with those in just a little bit. All of the news that's fit to print and come across it. Wesley Fofana has signed for $75 million, $70 million plus $5 million in add-ons. Chelsea had three previous bids rejected. Seventh signing of the summer transfer window. 7-year contract for the club, with Chelsea picking up Wesley Fofana now. Defender flying to the USA on Monday for his medical. You had the standard quotes that were put out in a release, and chose not to communicate during this transfer window despite all the criticism and all of the often false and misleading comments, even when they were coming from the club. I understood and I learned. Didn't want to damage the image of the institution, and I chose to take it rather than answer. I think top for his understanding. Thanks to the managers, to the coach who's always appreciated me, even if he chose to expose me a lot lately. I got it, coach. End quote. Leicester declined to comment on Fofana's post when approached by Sky. Quote from Todd Bowley. Previous two bids were in excess of 60, one believed to be 60 plus 10, but now we have 70 plus 5 on the board. So also Reims center back Wout Faes heading to England on Wednesday for further discussions and a medical of his proposed move to Leicester as a potential replacement for Fofana. Deal under discussion between the clubs is for a fee that could rise to $15 million. Arsenal and Newcastle are retaining their interest in Yuri Tielemans. It looks like Leicester would be prepared to sell him on deadline day if a buyer was prepared to meet their £25 million evaluation. He's entered the final year of his contract. And unless he agrees to a new deal, he can leave for a free in the summer, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Also on the board this morning when it comes to all of the transfer talk, it looks like Barcelona's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang suffered a minor fracture of his jaw in the attack on his home over the weekend, expected to be out of action for 3 weeks. He can resume non-contact training next week. Chelsea are aware, and the word is sympathetic of his situation. It's thought the injury will not impact potential transfer talks as talks continue between Chelsea and Barcelona. Other stuff, Hibs signed striker Christian Deutsch, has joined Kilmarnock on loan. Josh Mullen has left Livingston to join Scottish Championship leaders Ayr on a season-long loan. Barnsley have signed Josh Martin on a season-long loan from Norwich with an option to buy. Newly appointed Sunderland boss Tony Mowbray has completed a loan signing of French midfielder Edouard Michou from PSG with an option to buy. The 19-year-old had 8 appearances for the Champs, making his debut in February of 2021. Cardiff in talks about Callum Robinson with West Brom. Bristol City and Burnley also in pursuit. Leicester City striker George Hurst is having a medical at Blackburn ahead of a loan move to the club. Southampton apparently are in the lead to get Ainsley Maitland-Niles from Arsenal. Newcastle, West Ham, Bournemouth, and Palace are also on board. Southampton apparently leader in the clubhouse. Aston Villa Wolves have offers on the table for West Ham defender Craig Dawson. And let's see what else is going on. Manchester City close to agreeing to a deal with Borussia Dortmund to sign Manuel Akanji. City confident of concluding his arrival before the transfer deadline. Southampton in advanced negotiations with Manchester City over the double signing of youngsters Sam Edozie and Juan Larios. Edozie is a 19-year-old winger. Larios is a Spain U19 left back, both playing in City's academy. Eric Ten Hag says if they complete the signings of Antony and Dubravka, could be the last incomings with the transfer window. Arsenal retain an interest in Leicester's Yuri Tielemans, but have made no fresh bid, so still looking at 25. Jessica Charman, happy to see Baba Rahman has sealed a return to Reading for a second season-long loan spell at the club. 29 starts at left back during last year's campaign. Leicester in talks with Atalanta over a deal for former Chelsea winger Jeremy Boga. Loan deal and substantive transfer options are both being discussed. Boga understood to be keen on the move, having come through Chelsea's academy. Ivory Coast International made only one league appearance before joining Sassuolo, and then Atalanta spent season on loan with Birmingham in the championship. So that is all the news that's fit to print. Let's check the newspapers themselves, avoiding the 3 and the 4 letter as we always do. According to the Times, Premier League clubs are set to face restrictions on spending, transfers, and wages for the first time, with England's top flight looking to follow UEFA's new financial rules. Arsenal is confident Bukayo Saka will sign a new long-term deal. And the club have offered the 20-year-old winger, whose present contract runs through 2024, a significant increase on his £70,000-a-week wage. Alfred Schroeder, Ajax head coach, described Antony's conduct as, quote, weird, end quote, and suggested the Dutch club could fine the Brazil winger for going on strike to push through his £84 million move to Manchester United. Newcastle United are prepared to wait until 75 minutes before their Premier League match at Liverpool Wednesday night to receive a work permit for the club record signing Alexander Isak. Duncan Ferguson has emerged as a leading candidate to replace Jack Ross at Dundee United. And also on the board, Daily Mirror, Mikhailo Mudryk like to post on Instagram, claiming Arsenal are interested in signing him before Thursday's transfer deadline. And Paul Pogba tried to pay, this is the story we talked about yesterday. Paul Pogba tried to pay £11 million to armed blackmailers, but they had to settle for $85,000 due to his bank withdrawal limit, it's claimed. Manchester United fended off an interest from top European clubs to tie down wunderkid Amir Ibrahimov to a new contract. Liverpool have been warned by Benfica boss Roger Schmidt that Enzo Fernandez will stay with the club for, quote, a long time, end quote, despite interest from Anfield. From the Daily Telegraph, Atletico Madrid trying to sign Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz. Also interest in the Brazil international from another Premier League club. Looks like a Nottingham Forest set to sign Wolves defender Willy Bawley for an initial £2.25 million, heading toward 20 signings in the two windows. Steve Cooper and Nottingham Forest. Everton and Leeds have joined Southampton trying to sign Manchester United target Cody Gakpo. And Brendan Rodgers, the Leicester manager, will receive only a third of the $70 million banked from Wesley Fofana's sale to Chelsea to spend on transfers, thus the £15 million interest on the center back from Reims. Avoiding the four-letter paper, Daily Express, Liverpool adds the £20 million bid for Douglas Luiz. Chelsea have reportedly offered Frankie de Jong £15.5 million a year to join the club from Barcelona. The Athletic, Sunderland have held talks with Manchester United about taking Amad Diallo on loan for the 22-23 season. Chelsea have decided to keep Trevor Chalobah this season. Arsenal have suffered a major blow after it emerged that midfielder Mohamed El Neni sustained a significant injury in Saturday's win against Fulham. Birmingham Mail, Norwich manager Dean Smith insists he never considered allowing Onel Hernandez to return to Birmingham City on a full basis. Steven Gerrard hopes that Morgan Sanson can get a move away from Aston Villa before the summer transfer window shuts on Thursday. Daily Record in Scotland, Swindon and Hibs have opened transfer talks on Harry McCurdy. Lee Johnson knows he must add to his squad before Thursday's transfer deadline in need of strikers. Rangers midfielder Stephen Kelly wanted by Livingston after having struggled for game time at Ibrox. Liam Fox has strongly defended Dundee United's players following the sacking of Jack Ross after just 7 matches in charge. When you lose 9-0, that's what happens. And Robbie Nielsen admits that he'll be forced to squeeze every extra penny out of the Hearts' budget after a season-ending injury to Liam Boyce. So that is your papers, and that is all the news that has come across this morning. So let's run through today's matches and let you know what is online for everybody. We've got cup competitions going on in Eastern Europe here in the morning, and that lends us through to activity in West Europe as we get toward lunchtime. So if you like obscure cup competitions in European countries, then you've got that leading up until 12:30. Empoli and Verona, Serie A. Verona's a slight favorite on the road. And Lazio is a big favorite, a -105 at Sampdoria. And Udinese and Fiorentina are within the margin of error. They're about Udinese is a +156, Fiorentina is a +179. That's all at 12:30. Copa Uruguay is at 12:30. Ligue 1 starts at 1 o'clock. Monaco, a big favorite at home. Angers, Reims, Montpellier, Ajaccio, Lyon, Auxerre, Strasbourg, and Nantes. All of that is at 1 o'clock. Also, you've got more club and lower level competitions getting you through until 2 o'clock. You've got EFL Trophy at 2 o'clock. You have Copa Uruguay. You've got Liga Nacional in Central America. Premier League, here's your numbers. Bournemouth is hosting Wolves. Wolves is a +135 heading to the Vitality. Bournemouth a +231. Your draw is about the same. Arsenal, big favorite at home at a -175 as Aston Villa comes to visit. Manchester City, even a larger favorite at a -1,000, hosting Nottingham Forest. Championship, you've got action starting at 245. Bristol City, a favorite at home against Huddersfield. Coventry, a favorite at home on the plus side at +125 as Preston North End comes to town. Sunderland, a home favorite against Rotherham. Stoke, a home favorite at home against Swansea. West Ham and Tottenham is at 245. Spurs are a +106. West Ham at home is a +258. Your draw is within the margin of error there as well. It's about 267. Serie A at 245. Juve at home against Spezia. Napoli at home against Lecce. Large home favorites, no real surprise there. Blackpool, Blackburn in the championship. Blackpool's a +150 at 3 o'clock. Blackburn is a +186. More Ligue 1 is on at 3 o'clock as well. Central America kicks in the middle and latter stages of the afternoon. Liga de Expansión in Mexico is at 6 o'clock. And we mentioned all of the Major League Soccer numbers and starts. USL Championship. Lou City, a big favorite, heading to the mic to take on Indy 11 at a -145. Hartford Athletic, remember Tab Ramos starts his head coaching activities. He's not going to be on the touchline for about another week and a half or so. But Hartford Athletic, a favorite in Montclair against Red Bulls 2. Pittsburgh, a large home favorite at Highmark as Charleston Battery comes to town at a -286. Tormenta is a road dog at a +175 with Charlotte Independence coming to town at Charlotte Independence hosting at American Legion at +127. CPL's at 8 o'clock. That's probably going to be on FS2, Costa Rica Premier Division. That one's also at 8 o'clock. And that carries you through Copa Argentina, 8:30. Defensa y Justicia taking on River Plate. River Plate, a big favorite at a -161. Copa Libertadores, Vélez Sarsfield and Flamengo. We mentioned that one. Flamengo's a -110 on the road. Copa Sudamericana is IDV and FBC Melgar. That one is at 8:30, and Independiente del Valle is a -137. Melgar is basically a +400. Mexico-Paraguay friendly. That one is a -108 from Mexico. Paraguay is almost a +300. Primera in Colombia is going on. Same in Honduras. Costa Rica Primera, our friends at Saprissa play at 10:30 Eastern time at a -222. Phoenix Rising is a late favorite against RGV at home in the USL Championship at 10:30 at a -102. Same for Central Valley Fuego taking on FC Tucson. So we mentioned Jacksonville, we mentioned the Prem, and we mentioned crypto. It's been a full show, folks. And but one more time, let me go through the Twitch pitch before we go. Yeah, Nix, I don't know how you went from 88 million to 75 million and only getting to use a third of the 70 for Leicester. Leicster's in a world of hurt, and I know that we'll continue to be, we'll continue to talk about that as well. Yeah, forgot to mention, thank you, Nix, that Ricardo Pepi getting loaned out from Augsburg. That has been a mess, and I know that FC Dallas probably wishes that they could have him. Des to Manchester United's a Sky story / rumor right now. Once again, we've got until 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon to make sure that we have everything squared away when it comes to all of the gossip, rumor, innuendo, and all the news that's fit to print. So it's going to be an interesting night for everyone here across the board. A lot of action this afternoon to get you ready for 7 o'clock tonight. 92.9 The Game. Mike and Jason, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock, 7:08 kick in Chester, Pennsylvania. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about the other 10 matches that are on the board tomorrow. And very, very busy Thursday as well. And we will have the taped conversation that we always have with Nico Moreno and everything going on with Pulso Sport. We'll talk about him. And we'll talk about the Sounders and see what he thinks. So was the Portland match loser leave town when it comes to chasing after the playoffs? So we'll get his answers there as well. And I think that is officially a show. Once again, thanks to everybody for hanging out with us here. We'll do it again tomorrow with everything going on and recapping everything across the planet when it comes to everything here in the world of soccer. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks to Dylan Butler for hanging out with us from MLSSoccer and OSDB Sports. And Jared, as always, hanging out for the first hour. So now that the show is over, that means I get to do this.